Students need adults who have a vision for who they can become in their lives, because where our adolescents are at, where our teenagers are at, they are very clinically in adolescent psychology. There was a guy named Eric Erickson. Yeah, very redundant, I know. But he took the lifespan of people and he chopped it up into different segments. And each of these different segments, something vital was going on in that person's identity to help them become who they're supposed to become. So very early on in infancy, you think about up to a year old, what's happening is this state of trust or distrust. Can I trust my caretaker or do I distrust them? Very foundational. When you get into the elementary ages, what you're doing is it has to do with more of a skill set. Can I do things? Can I master things? Is who I am I able to kind of produce results in a quality way? It's inferiority versus mastery and completion. But what happens when we get to the adolescent years? It can be defined very much, very clinically even, as identity confusion. And what's going on is that our adolescents, and this is anywhere between 10 to 25. I can remember my college years. This, adolescence, it extends beyond high school. But what's happening is as a person, they're just trying to figure out who am I, and they're going to be trying on lots of different things. Again, for an example, I can remember being in college, and I grew up in a small town, and so the different types of identities that I could try on, the different types of things that I could be, were kind of limited. And so I had the farmer thing going on because I grew up in a small town, and I wore jeans and boots and white tank tops and straw hat. I'd have that identity that I'd wear during the summer because I worked on a farm for my cousins. I also had the jock identity because I very much loved football. I very much loved wrestling. I loved sports, which meant that I wore jerseys and I had kind of a prep look. And then I got to college, and it's like the identity pool opened up a little bit, and I expanded, and I didn't play sports anymore, and I wasn't on a farm. So what I ended up doing is I tried the skater thing, and I grew out my hair, which I have none of now, and I put in an eyebrow ring, and me and my friends would go out at like midnight when the streets were clear, and we would just skate. And so, what's going on is I'm just trying lots of different things, and you see that in your kids, you see that in these students, and it can be kind of scary because they were these little kids, they were these kids that like to color and draw, and now they're experimenting with different identities that may not feel safe to us. And maybe that's the aggressive rock music or rap music or hip hop. Maybe it's clothes they have to wear. And a lot of the problem is, and why the adults are so key, why the caring, loving adults are so key that have that vision for who they can become, is the problem is that as the teens' world is expanding and growing, they have too many inconsistent voices telling them who they should and shouldn't be. Because now the world that our teens live in, it's not just defined by this family unit, it's defined by who they go to school with, it's defined by traveling sports teams or regional orchestras, it's defined by their church, it's defined by all these different clubs, it's defined by friends that aren't even real physical friends, but are digital friends across the internet. And so they have lots and lots of voices in their lives. And these voices, because these voices are coming from different circles, different social circles with different influences and different beliefs about how life should work, they have lots of voices in their head, too many voices in their head, that are telling them different things. And so what happens when you think about that in the whole identity confusion, that's where they're at, they're trying to figure out what's going on, is it prolongs this identity development, which is why you see now in the 2000s, in our current decade, in our current millennium, you see where adolescence used to be, in the earlier part of the 20th century, in 1950s and 40s, you'd go to school, you graduate high school, you get a job, you get married. Their identities happened in a much shorter time frame, but now it's so much more prolonged because there's so many voices that the person themselves, the teen themselves, your child, the kid themselves, is it's getting harder and harder for them to make a decision about who they really are. There's too many choices to sift through, too many things. It keeps them from grabbing hold of who they really are inside. So what our role in that is, as the adults that care about them and have a vision for them, is our role is to be the consistent voice of encouragement and vision in their life. We are the ones that they need, because they need somebody with all the different voices. They have to have somebody who looks inside of them and sees who they could be. So what I think that looks like is, I'd love for you to think about, okay, what do I see inside of my teen right now? What positive quality do I see that's more of a seed that needs nourishment, that needs my encouragement, that needs me feeding it, that needs me watering it? What do I see in them that I can encourage to help them grow towards maturity? And how can I say that in a way this week? What time might I have to meet with them, to see them before school or after school, to talk with them at home before dinner? What time might I have driving them? I want you to identify first, what do I see in them right now? And there's lots of different things. I just want you one quality. They're not necessarily smarts or athletic talent, maybe more personal qualities. What did you see them do? Did you see them act in a certain way to a brother or a sister? Did you hear about something? Maybe a teacher told them something about you this week. What have you seen in them this week? Just think about this week that you could encourage them in a positive way that's going to be a consistent voice of vision for who they can become in their lives.